Hello all you bladers, today we're going to be going over a fun / competitive combination again, Dynamite F-Gear Dragon, Giga Rise 9. Now, the key of this combo is basically that it's an anti-attacker, so it counters attack types, and it's also very good in opposite spin, with decent same spin and nice defense as well. So the key is really having the Rise driver flat. So the Rise driver has a sharp tip here at the end, and if you wear it down by launching it a lot, it basically becomes flat. So now that the driver's flat, the ridge becomes closer to the stadium, so it can kind of like, when you spin, you can see that it stays upright. It's not actually, that's falling down, but now it's upright. It's obviously tilting, but it stays upright. And if you launch it, the ridge can actually catch the outer edge of the stadium and start riding it, so it counterattacks the attack type. In the beginning of the round, you can also get some nice KOs with it. The thing is, when you're ridge riding like this, like a lot of drivers that are aggressive, you can self-KO, which is where the dragon chip comes in. You hit a wall, you use the spring gimmick, and you stay inside the stadium. The dragon chip's also useful when you're spinning in the center of the stadium. If you launch it to the center, and it will still move around obviously, but once you get to the center, the dragon chip's just generally there for stamina and recoil defense, but mainly because when you hit the wall and you're going around, the dragon chip helps keep you in. And the Giga Disc and the 9 armor are there because of that upward weight. So the Giga Disc, as you'll see, instead of over, which is like downward, the Giga Disc has a lot of its weight pushed upward. And the 9 disc is similar in just because of the shape of the 3-sided dynamite blade. Now the dynamite blade is used because it's a very sleek and small blade. You might think something with a lot of recoil would work here, like burst, but burst is way too big. You want something sleek, something small, to really get that momentum to ride around the ridge and get that KO attack. Plus, remember, opposite spin. So you want to have something round enough to spin steal with. Plus, you also have some decent same spin stamina with it, and Dynamite F-Gear definitely helps with that. But the Giga Disc and the 9 armor help push the weight upward, which helps keeps the bay go a lot faster. The lower your weight is, the slower you go, and you want this to go fast. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's try this out. So you'll definitely get that in retrospect, that you'll ride around the ridge. Now sometimes, of course, it doesn't really work how you want it to, but you'll see in that scenario, it hit the wall and it came back in. Normally it just like KO itself. And of course, now I don't know if it will outspin burst. Probably won't. Yeah, probably won't here. Burst will be the outspinner here, but you can see that it actually got a click on dragon, very small one, because it kept inside the stadium now. So essentially, that really didn't do what I would like, that really didn't ride the ridge, because it basically, what burst did was it went around, and it kind of stopped the thing from moving. It's very weird in retrospect, because the Awakened Rise, it rides the ridge, but it also doesn't ride. Obviously, it outspins there, and it didn't outspin last time, but yeah. It's got like some good stamina, it's just not very good stamina. Now, if you want to put it against something like Ultimate Valkyrie and attack type, that's where it's going to really show its anti-attack. Because it'll basically just bully it like it did there. It'll basically ride the ridge so fast that the attack type can't keep up. So it just rides the ridge, comes around and smacks it out. Obviously that time it KO'd after, but it did KO Ultimate first. Okay, Ultimate one. Yeah, this is definitely a more like combination that's just fun. Awakened Rise is like Blader K, who is currently the #2 blader on the WVO, Burst globally, like talks about this driver a lot in Bay Base. It's not the most safe driver to use, but you can use it in competitive if you get it right. It's just more of a competitive / fun thing to use. It's not really the safest thing though, so I a lot of it isn't used in tournaments. A bit slower than Valkyrie. And that's essentially the whole idea of the combo. It basically, what it will do is it will get the attack type from the side, smack it, and then the attack type will lose all its spin, while this thing basically outspins it or KOs it. And again, the idea with this is that it's always going to lose a click with Dragon because you hit the wall or you hit the attack type that causes recoil to kill the attack type's like spin when you like slam it from the outside or you stay in the stadium. Now if we try it against like Guilty, long on his quick dash 4, it's not going to get knocked out because this thing is very nice for anti-attack, especially in opposite spin. As I said, it could have gotten not knocked out a lot of times, but Dragon is kind of helping it, and it's just that the ridge of the driver of Rise is so low to the stadium that it's very hard to like just straight up knock it out. Like the driver never is essentially the same idea, where the ridge of the driver, because the base obviously it outspins there, but because the flat part is so low, it brings the ridge of the driver, this outer plate, so low that it catches the outer ridge. And that's what counterattacks or just stays inside the stadium if you're not spinning fast enough. So if we try that a second or third time with a couple more rounds, you'll see. And that's basically the epitome of it. It basically just comes around, counterattacks, and then now Guilty is not as fast because it killed the momentum. So it's mainly an anti-attack combo, which is why it's using parts like Dynamite F gear and Dragon, because a lot of the times in like tournaments, you'd be using something like Wind Perseus as your main like go-to stamina type. I personally think Dynamite is better on like Bearing Drift than Wind, but a lot of people prefer Wind, and it depends on the scenario, but Wind is definitely a more common blade for stamina than Dynamite, and I think Lucifer or Perseus is more common than Dragon normally, so Dynamite and Dragon would be like backup parts you'd usually bring, so this also doesn't really cause too many like very common competitive parts, at least for stamina, so you can use this as like a third bay deck option. I didn't even launch Guilty fully there, but you can see that it basically just KO'd it from the outside. Now, if we go and show its more like stamina-oriented side, which we didn't really do against Spriggan, Cyclone, Ragnarok, basically launch this in the center, and basically what it can do is stay in the center. It'll still hit relatively hard because Rise likes to move around, but that's where the Dynamite, F-Gear, and Dragon, and Giga and comes in, because as well as having anti-attack and opposite spin, it's got some pretty decent same spin stamina if you get it to control it. And so essentially what Rise will do... Okay, so Cyclone won that. Yeah, so you can see this thing has got some decent same spin, just not really... It's nothing really insane for like same spin. It's mainly, as I said, it's an anti-attacker, it's a defense type, it's an opposite spin combo. But you can get it to work same spin in some scenarios. It just isn't very good at same spin like this thing. And so essentially it'll do this sometimes. It'll kind of just... And obviously this Cyclone doesn't have the Dragon chip, and it doesn't have a very good ring either. So obviously this isn't a very fair comparison, but this is like just generally like just for fun. If you wanted to use this competitively, I would say that it does do... Actually, it does pretty decent against the Bearing combo on wins. It doesn't do very well against like other like smaller layer Dynamite stuff, because if you have like Wind, Perseus, Taper, Bearing, Dash 4 here, what it will do is cause Bearing on the side. essentially what it will do is it will like push wind on its side area, and it'll actually like push it there. Obviously wind will outspin here because dynamite went around, but if you get it in the center, it'll basically just push wind to the side. I don't know why. I think it's because it's so like small and wind is such a wide layer that wind just can't like stay upright without the disc tipping. It's weird to explain it, but that's pretty much how it works. Now, if we try like a staller, like Prominence on Mobius, which is also like opposite spin defense based, then against this, so that time it actually like stayed in the stadium. I couldn't catch if it hit the outer wall here or not, but you basically that's kind of the idea. It's just I'm not really explaining the Rise thing too well. I just kind of wanted to do a video on this because I really like the Rise driver. Whenever I see it, like someone using it, I get like excited. The Rise driver is just, it's something really cool to me. It's something like unique, that it's a very cool idea. Like the idea that you can ride the ridge and knock out a bay while being able to counterattack and have opposite spin while like being defensive is just a really cool idea for a bay, and it's just something I like using a lot. It's not the safest thing, and I definitely haven't used it in tournaments too much because of that, but it's definitely just a very fun combination to use, and it is definitely a good part. Like if I had to rank Rise on like a scale of like F tier to S tier for competitive, I would say it's like a solid B+ tier, right? Like you have Bearing Drift in like S tier, you have Bearing Dash and High Extend Plus Dash and like A+, maybe A, like just solid tier. You have like Never, and you have like other stuff, and like maybe like A- tier. Rise is like a solid B+ for competitive. If I had to give it a grade, like from A+ to F-, it's a solid B+. It's definitely usable, just there are a lot safer options to use, and yeah, I just kind of wanted to do this video because I like the Rise driver a lot, as you can tell, and yeah, I'm ranting now at this point, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Subscribe if you enjoyed, have fun, and don't forget to keep on blading.